The three-judge appellate panel, which previously expressed concern about allowing the subject of a search warrant, here that's President Trump, the right to request a special master to review everything before an indictment has even been issued, was troubling. And they said in tonight's opinion that the former president does not get special treatment. Quote, "We are faced with a choice. Apply our usual test, drastically expand the availability of equitable jurisdiction for every subject of a search warrant, or carve out an unprecedented exception in our law for former presidents. We choose the first option, so the case must be dismissed." They went on to say, quote, "The law is clear. We cannot write a rule that allows any subject of a search warrant to block government investigations after the execution of the warrant, nor can we write a rule that allows only former presidents to do so. Either approach would be a radical reordering of our case law limiting the federal court's involvement in criminal investigations." The panel didn't just shut down the special master. It blasted the lower court judge and the Trump legal team's arguments that the scope of the search warrant was too broad, that at least some of those records were personal, that he faces harm from the stigma of a potential future criminal prosecution. The appeals court wrote, "All these arguments are a sideshow." Joining me now is Harry Litman, former U.S. attorney appointed by Bill Clinton and former deputy assistant attorney general. Also joining us is former Trump White House associate counsel May Mailman. Thanks to both of you for coming on the show. All right, Harry, before we decided to do this topic tonight, I was trying to assess how big a deal this is, right? I mean, there are some people who are going to say, it's kind of procedural. Is this really such a big deal? It's not really related to the fundamental question about the special counsel. Make the case that I've heard you make why you think this is a really big deal.
Actually, Dan, I'm not sure you've heard me make it. I think it's a very emphatic opinion, really makes it seem elementary, really takes canon to task. So in that sense, it vindicates what everyone was saying. But DOJ was rolling with the punches already, and where they had, as you've just mentioned, the classified documents they could use. I don't think their investigation was deeply encumbered. Nevertheless, it was crazy that it was even modestly encumbered at this stage, when they're just investigating lawfully seized materials. So it does remove a roadblock and a kind of strange detour in the case and completely, takes it out of existence. That's it removes a sort of sideshow. I think they were stumbling ahead without it, but now the path is totally clear.
I stand corrected on your previous statements on the issue. May Mailman, were you surprised by this? And, look, I hate it when people do what I just did, right? I identified the judges by who appointed them, right? It's a real shame that we've gotten to that point. But we're sort of at that point, and I've given up, and I now do it, even though I used to hate it. It is relevant just in the sense that these are not three liberal judges, right, who just decided we're going to go get Donald Trump. They made a legal ruling. You've worked in the Trump White House. Are you surprised by this?
So I'm not surprised by it because of and you mentioned it, the earlier 11th Circuit ruling that already said, hey, we're not sure. We don't think that the district court had jurisdiction to hear the case here. And then the Supreme Court unanimously decided not to take the case. Right. So you've got a conservative Supreme Court and a conservative 11th Circuit already basically signaling that they were going to make this decision. And you're right that it does matter that this is not a bunch of liberal judges and sort of throwing their decision into question about whether it's political or not. That said, myself being a conservative, I do believe that there are plenty of conservative judges who do rule on the rule of law and not the rule of their preference.
Well, I agree with that. In fact, Harry, I'm going to bring in a bigger point here, right? Which is a lot of people on the left and a lot of the folks on the networks I usually see you on are constantly blasting the Supreme Court, right? Some of them saying it's illegitimate, we need to expand the court. And yet here we have a case where the 11th Circuit with conservative judges has done the kind of obvious thing. I think that most people agree with it as a legal matter. The Supreme Court's not hearing it. Don't you think it's time to tell some people on the left, stop lumping in every conservative judge and every ruling you don't like with the illegitimacy of the court?
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.